Greetings petrolheads, welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game. Yesterday's head-to-head was one of the closest, well, definitely the closest so far. And as I'm recording this, the Rondini has the lead in the comment section. I think it's at 8 to 6. Yeah, 8 to 6. But the Lurker is still a fantastic car. Unfortunately though, since it was a head-to-head, there can only be one winner, so that in this case will be the Rondini 346. Today we are gonna be looking at the SGT car by Jeff Kaselika and the Destiny Mark III by Rush D. So let's jump into the SGT car stock. Alright, pretty 80s styling, except for maybe the main grille. It's not, you know, square, it's more like a triangle, but it's not that bad. The taillights are sort of like E36-ish, which would be early 90s, but this is 1989, so it's not that far off, it's fine. Right, what does this thing have? It's got corrosion-resistant steel monocoque, corrosion-resistant steel panels, a rear-wheel drive, 5-speed manual, double wishbones all around. I feel like I've seen that before. 5-speed manual, double wishbones all around. I may have said that before in competition. 243 horsepower from a 3.2 liter V8, which is also naturally aspirated. So let's check this one out. 3.2 liters. Slightly higher stroke than bore, all aluminium, dual overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, forged steel crank, I-beam steel conrods, forged pistons, so very good internals. 58 cam profile is moderately aggressive, nothing too fancy, but a little bit above the norm maybe. It's naturally aspirated, we know that. It's got single point injection, performance intake, and running on premium gas. Revs up to 7,000 RPM, and we don't really seem to get any valve float or anything, so that's really good. It's got a single exhaust pipe with a long tubular header, or long tubular headers. High flow freeway cat, straight throw mufflers, 243 horsepower, 212 pound-feet of torque. A little bit low on the torque, but we'll see if it can make it work regardless. 51.7 drivability, 36 sportiness. Now these two are good. Comfort 41.3. We've seen better. We've definitely seen better prestige than 39.6 too. So that the prestige is a little on the low side. Let's see if we can find out why. We've got an automatic locker. We've got sports tires, 205s up front, 215s on the rear, and then 16-inch alloy rims. So the rims are probably not the reason why it's kind of low on prestige. It's got vented discs all around, 2 pistons, or 3 pistons front, excuse me, 2 pistons on the rear. I think you could do a little bit better with the brake balance. Yeah, probably. Fully clad under tray, enough cooling, luxury interior and entertainment, no traction control, standard AD safety, and standard springs. Now the standard springs are definitely going to help with the running costs, because, you know, they're much easier and much cheaper to replace than, you know, air springs or hydro-pneumatic springs. And let's see, running cost wise, 3,421. It's not even that cheap to run. Economy is sort of middle of the field, not really that great. And it costs 28,800, so it's relatively cheap. In the GT segments, it's not particularly strong at 55.9 and 54.9 in the GT Premium. Let's see about the performance. 5.7 seconds 0 to 100. 243 kilometers an hour top speed, that's good. 14.41 second quarter mile, that's also good. But apart from, I guess the engine is, you know, good and all, like in terms of performance. It doesn't quite have the same amount of torque that some other engines had. And also the comfort and the prestige is a little bit low. The comfort could definitely go up if you went for reverse flow mufflers. Sure, sportiness would suffer a little bit, but since you're so much under the price limit, you could definitely also afford going with, you know, air suspension or something that would definitely increase the stats by a bit. This is much more of a simpler car, and maybe there's something to be said for that. But just in terms of, well, pretty much anything except for drivability and sportiness, it just doesn't quite stack up to a lot of the other entries we've seen so far. So let's check out the Destiny Mark III. Sorry if I kind of butchered the headlight placing. For whatever reason, the headlights didn't, like the headlights were just not there when I installed the car. I placed some very similar ones on the front, so hopefully I didn't ruin it too much. Looks wise, I gotta say, like, this is very futuristic. Like, this is not 1987 kind of, especially the taillights. This is not what you'd see in 1987 at all. This is more like, the rear end could be like 2003, something like that, 2004. And the front end could be like 1996. So aesthetically, this is not era correct. This is not an 80s looking car. But let's see what it's made of. So we have seen this body shell before on the Lurker. Yeah. This has partial aluminum panels on a corrosion resistant steel monocoque. We have a 5-speed manual, and would you believe it, double wishbones front and rear. 250 horsepower coming from a 3.6 liter turbocharged straight 6. Let's look at that engine. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's some torque. We got a full aluminum 3.6 liter straight 6. We have 2 overhead cams with 4 valves per cylinder. A forged steel crank, I-beam steel conrods, forged pistons, and then 30 cam profile, so nice and low RPM torque. So like 283 pound-feet of torque at 2700 RPM. That's quite a lot of torque. We have a watt-to-air intercooler, we have ball bearing, and 0.58 bars of boost, which is not all that much, but low boost allows you to make the turbo spool up quicker, and this one kicks in at 2200 RPM, which is really good. We have a performance intake, a single configuration and multi-point EFI, and then we have one reverse flow and one straight through muffler, and a high flow freeway cat. Damn, I can't speak. 25.73% economy. That's some of the highest I've seen, or some of the highest I remember seeing at least. We have an open diff. Now that's interesting. 2 15s front and rear, sports tires, 15-inch alloy rims, 3 piston vented discs up front, 1 piston vented discs on the rear, a fully clad on a tray, and 263.9 cooling airflow. That's just a little bit more than it needs. We do have some aerodynamic fixtures. We have a lip up front, and we have a little wing on the rear, and also a lip. There's a lot of like black plastic on this car. That makes it look, that definitely makes it stand out from like pretty much everything else we've seen so far. And I kind of like it, but it doesn't look 1987. This is not a car you would see in 1987 at all. Four seats, luxury interior and entertainment, power steering and ABS, advanced safety, and hydro pneumatic springs. 47 drivability, 35.8 sportiness, 49.1 comfort. That's what I'm talking about. 44.6 prestige, 43.6 safety. Really good fuel economy. As a result, the running costs are extremely low, similar to what the Rondini had actually, because the fuel economy is similar. So those two are actually quite similar in that regard. Let's see how this thing performs. $14.38, which is just ever so slightly quicker than the SGT car by Jeff Keselica that we've seen just before. Top speed is slightly better. 0 to 100 is a little bit worse. I shouldn't say top speed is slightly better. It's like 13 kilometers an hour better, and that's a decent amount. Let's see how this does in the market. 80.6 competitiveness in the GT category. That's awesome. That's the best I think we've seen so far. 80.6. Damn, dude. $29,400 cost. So this is not only, you know, only $600 more expensive than the SGT car. It's also cheaper to run. It's pretty much even on the quarter mile. It has a better top speed. It's more comfortable. I mean, short drivability. Here's the thing. Turbocharged engines will also, you know, will always give you a drivability penalty. With a turbo setup like in this car or like in the Rondini, which was kind of similar to this, I don't think that this is really a sort of torque curve that you would really notice as being bad, you know. I don't think that while, you know, driving this on a road trip or something, compared to the V8 we saw before, I don't think that you would necessarily notice that this would be like harder to drive or anything on a road trip. Sure, if you have something like the something like a Ferrari F40 kind of engine, which is a small engine which is hugely turbocharged, and the turbo kicks in at like 4,500 RPM all of a sudden and comes in with a bang. That's where I accept drivability being lower. But on a setup like this, there's just more torque. It's just, you know, it's just gonna be more flexible than that 3.2 liter V8. And yeah, so straight line performance is on par. Price is pretty similar. Running costs are hugely in favor of this car. So is the competitiveness overall in the GT segment, the comfort, the prestige. But this doesn't look 80s at all. Like, if only this thing looked more error correct, like the point would definitely go to this easily. And as far as stats go, it still wins. But I'll let you guys be the judge on how much you think the looks are out of place on an 80s car. Are they futuristic enough for the SGT car to win this? It's up to you guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you with the voting for the best car of the week tomorrow. Goodbye.